Well, hello again. Hopefully this side of the car, which I'm going to work on today, is as rust free as this side was. You know, I was very surprised that there was so little rust on it there. But once I got the dirt off, I realized it was just that exposed red oxide paint. And this will be the last relatively warm day before we run into a bunch of cold weather again for about another week or so. So I want to get under there and get as much dirt removed as possible and get it sprayed with the rust, the rust treatment. Now, speaking of rust treatment, let me show you something else I'm going to try. I was down at Walmart this morning, which is one of my favorite haunts. I had to pick up more undercoating and more primer paint. While I was there, I went over and I looked around in the Rust-Oleum section, and I found this stuff called Rust Reformer. I had forgotten about this stuff. I remember seeing it a long time ago. And now we have the rust treatment by Permatex, and of course Rust-Oleum is, again, another brand I remember and I'm familiar with. And it's in a spray can, and it's cheap. Matter of fact, the Rust-Oleum Rust Reformer is half the price of the Permatex. So now we've gone down even lower as far as rust preventive type stuff and converter, reformer, whatever you want to call it. They call it a reformer here. They say it's a rust reformer, but down here they say it converts rust, so I don't know. Well, you know, since we have so little rust underneath that car, I mean really, almost none really when you come right down to it, that gives us a great degree of flexibility. I'm going to go ahead, and instead of using this rust treatment, I might have to use it up in the front of the car. I think what I'm going to do is once I get all the dirt removed and everything, we're going to shoot it with this stuff first. Now, according to this, it takes 2 to 3 treatments, it says. 2 to 3 sprays. You know, with what, a couple of minutes in between? According to Rust-Oleum Rust Reformer, it only takes 1 coat. And then if you prefer after 24 hours, you can go ahead and shoot it a second time. It's up to you, just to be on, to be sure. But 1 coat versus 3 coats. Yeah, you know, what the heck? Let's give it a shot. It's for $5. I'm game. Tell you what, let's just go ahead and give this a trial run on one of these old U-bolts that we have here. And I don't know if this stuff comes out clear. I don't know if it comes out black. It's got a black lid on it, you know. We'll see. We'll give it a shot here. It says if you use this stuff, you have to shake it for 1 minute after your balls rattle. So let's see what we got here. Oh, it's black. I don't understand that. I'm not so sure about that. How about that? It's just a coating is what it looks like, but it is Rust-Oleum Reformer. I don't know. Let's just let it dry, see what happens. Alright, I've made a command decision here. I'm not so sure about that black. You know, the problem when you have some kind of a black converter like this is you don't know if it's converting the rust or not because you can't see it. It's just covered up. However, I'm not going to waste a can, so what we're going to do is once I get all the dirt off and everything and get it clean under there, I'll go ahead and spray it with the Permatex like I did on the other side of the car. And then after 24 hours, when this is gone ahead and dried, then I'll come back out and spray it with this and wait another 24 hours before we actually put the undercoating on. That'll give us some pretty good protection. What this might not do, maybe this will. I don't know. But just the way it is right there, just spray it on and leave it and then put the undercoating over the top. Yeah, I'm not so sure about that. Well, as you can see, things have been going very smoothly, you know. The old wire brushes are doing their job, and tons of dirt's falling down all over me and all over the floor. However, you know, it was time for old man Murphy to show up, and he did. What we have here is a bumper. This is a rubber bumper on a bracket, and when the axle comes up and down like that, if it comes up too far, it'll hit against this rubber bumper. This one's pretty hard, actually. They're both pretty hard, but they're not totally hard. It's to keep it from, you know, running into the bottom of the wheel well here and everything. If you hit something really hard and the axle goes way up. Well, the bracket, the problem is not the bumper. You can get new bumpers for these things, by the way. The bracket is the problem. Look at how rusty that is in there, and the bolt heads are rusty. That The top's not too bad, but down in there, these, let me zoom in here. This is one of these things you can't live with, guys. You shouldn't live with. These are going to have to come out. You know, of course, easier said than done. As you can see, they're flanged bolts on the heads. You can see it up here how it's flanged. It has a flange all the way around that sticks out past the bolt. Past the head. I'm going to try to soak these things and get them out. I'll probably have to wind up resorting to heat, but they've got to come out, they've got to be soaked, they've got to be treated and painted, and then go ahead and put back. Now the other one wasn't like this, just this side. Is that weird or what? Well, I think what I'm going to do first is give them a good shot of this liquid wrench. Let it go up in there, let it soak for a while. Well, that's it. That's about the best I can do. I mean, I'm just covered with dirt. And, you know, that's why you can never ask yourself, is to just do the best you can. You know, if I had this other thing up on the lift, I could use a power washer and just go right at it. But unfortunately, we had to do it by hand, so not a problem. It's now done. Now let's see what we can do about getting that stupid bracket off of there. Well, the top two bolts came out okay. But these are the problem children down at the bottom. I don't want to strip those heads. If I strip one, I don't know. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to tap on them with a hammer and set up some vibrations. Maybe that'll help get them loose. Just tap them, not slam them, you know. Let's see here. That's all I'm going to do is just keep going back and forth for a while. Set up as many vibrations as possible, and then we'll give it a shot. Well, it turns out that the bolt, enough of it has rusted away on the outside edges that it's not even 9/16 anymore. The 9/16 just goes round and round. I took a 1/2 inch and put on there the slightest turn again and went round and round. So I went ahead and got I think it's a 12mm socket, and I hammered it on there. And let's see if it'll crack them loose. I just hammered it right on tight. Let's see what happens. I am happy to report that that worked. Son of a gun, we got lucky on that. Although we'll have to change out these two bolts here. I'll have to take a trip down to the hardware store in the next day or two. Tomorrow, wifey's having her hair done at a spa. Oh, I'm going to be hanging around for about 2-3 hours, maybe 4, doing nothing but reading books and things. What the heck. It'll be her day. She's giving me this day, so she said, tomorrow is my day. We got to go to the next town. I guess she's going to get her hair colored and all that. She wants to start feeling like a woman again after her terrible ordeal. Meanwhile, let's see what we can do about this. I think we can throw it in here for about a week. Let her sit down in here in that rather new, and it's amazing how dark that turned from just those two rear hangers, huh? Probably going to be even worse with that in there. We'll see you in a week, guy. Oops, we're back. This has to go in there too. These two bolts, almost forgot those. Now these two bolts that were all messed up will not go in there. But you know, it wasn't all that big deal loosening these things out of there. When I took that socket and hammered them on there, that did quite a bit to loosen them up. So it wasn't, yeah, the socket was on there tight, but when I gave it a twist, they didn't take a whole lot of pressure to come loose. I'll tell you what, since we're in the vinegar mode, let's not stop now. We've got 10 nuts. I just wire brushed them all down. 10 of the nuts, these are the ones that hold the differential onto the axle. And they also need to be derusted. So we're getting down to the nitty gritty. Oop, dropped one here. We're getting down to the nitty gritty here. So let's throw that in there too. What the heck? What do we care, right? One other thing I wanted to show you. Now these are copper flat washers that went around the studs that stuck out from the axle where the differential goes. And those nuts I just threw in there, they tighten down against them. These are 1/16 inch thick copper crush washers. And they're 9/16 in the center. That's the size of the hole. I'm going to need, there's 10 of those nuts, I'm going to need 10 of these. And by the way, one of those nuts is different from all the rest. All of them are acorn type nuts, and then there's one that's just flat on both sides. I meant to show you that before I chunked them in there, but I didn't do it. But the one oddball nut is the one that holds the bracket on, that has the flexible brake line. It holds the bracket to the differential there. Okay, so that's the oddball nut. But they all still require a copper crush washer. So I need to pick up some of those next. 9/16 hole in the center. And 1/16 of an inch. If you get them too thick, they won't crush like they're supposed to. Well, what's the purpose? Hang on a second, let me get a little more focus here. Well, what's the purpose of the crush washer? Well, it crushes down, spreads out around the stud, and gives you a seal. Keeps any of the oil from leaking out around the gasket, around the studs, and dripping down all over the place. So it's just actually just a copper gasket is what it is, I guess is what you could call it. Well, that's it for now. I've got all of the rust treatment applied. It looks really good under there, but this side of the car was more rusty than the other, so I will be going over it with that new Rust-Oleum stuff. By the way, one more thing. I'm not going to end the video here. I'm just going to continue it later, but it'll be ended for today. The dash pot and bracket that we needed, our good buddy Brendan up in Michigan has got me one. He went to a flea market the other day, an automotive flea market, a swap meet in a building that covered 60,000 square feet, and it was just vendor after vendor. And, he told me at first, he said, I don't think I'll find one. I said, well, you need to go anyway. Just look around. You never know what you're going to find. He said, the chances are pretty slim. He said, more like hen's teeth, He said, those things are hard to find. He said, even though there's going to be a lot of vendors there. He said, there'll probably be mostly, Hollies and, things like that kind of Rochesters and stuff. I said, look, just go on and look around. You never know what you're going to find. It's probably there. You just got to dig. And son of a gun, if he didn't come up with one, the dash pot and the bracket to go on here. But once again, if you were to talk to him about this, you'd probably hear a completely opposite story. Every time I poke my head out the door, it reminds me that it is still wintertime. Oh, man, is it cold out there. Not cold by northern standards, but cold by our standards. It's still too cold to just go out in the garage and work. I'm just not going to do it. So I stay in the house and I cook a little bit and I clean a little bit, and I fiddle fart around with the radio out in the shop. But every once in a while I like to come in and treat myself to a little something. So I decided today to whip up a little blueberry pie for the wife and I, and there she is. Now I know that Sky Carl would like to have a bite of that. Well, it's a few days later. It's still cold and miserable and overcast. But let's go ahead and finish this video up anyway. After all the work we did cleaning, derusting, and painting up our rear leaf spring hangers, I had to go out and find some bushings for it. Well, that turned out to be a major problem. They were, I searched for a couple of days, and they are nowhere to be found. I called Max Thunderbird, I called Rock Auto, or not called them, but checked their website, and I couldn't find them anywhere. I searched here, there, and everywhere, and there were no bushings to be had for these rear hangers. Well, that was not good. Well, then I said, well, let me go ahead and go on eBay. Maybe somebody has a pair of old ones, or an old pair of these that I could take the the bushings would still be in pretty good shape. Maybe I could pull them out of a rusty old hanger. I don't know. I didn't know what I was thinking. I think sooner or later maybe something would pop. It always does. That's always my attitude on just about everything. So I searched for rear leaf spring hangers, 1966 Thunderbird, and lo and behold, this was a total shot in the dark, people. I mean, lo and behold, look what I found. Right off the bat, I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. Look here, look here. There they are. There's one. You know what they say about a blind hog? Even a blind hog finds an acorn once in a while. That's what happened to me here. We have a complete set of these things being sold by a very nice person that next time in the next video I'm going to tell you about. So that's one less problem that we don't have anymore. Oh, I'll tell you what, I was really, really concerned. I thought maybe we'd have to get some kind of set of bushings and cut the heads off them and keep jamming them in there until I reach the edge here, you know, and just go with that. But fortunately, and this person sold these things to me at an extremely reasonable price. I'm very, very happy to have met this person, and I won't introduce you to them personally, but you will hear about them and a few other things I bought. Something else I came up with, which was fairly easy, no problem at all. These are the bushings for the eyes in each end of the leaf springs. This is the rear, where it hooks onto the shackle, and this is the very large ones. There's 2 per eye. They will go in, you'll remember. They'll go in like this. Where'd the other one go? It just bounced away on me. Come here, you. Okay. These big ones, they'll go in just like that. One from each side, and the 2 small ones there. We'll be using 2 large and 2 small per leaf spring. So they were a piece of cake. I got those from Rock Auto at a very, very reasonable price. They came in like no time. So one thing about Rock Auto, they ship quickly. I mean, you just turn around twice and it's in the mailbox. I got to give those boys credit. And their prices are always much more reasonable than anyone else's on the internet, which, you know, I don't know how much I bought from Rock Auto in various places. And only like 2 small items were purchased from Mac Thunderbird. Their shipping charges are too high for the tiniest little things. They want a little tiny thing like that I wanted to buy. It was $10 they wanted to ship this tiny little thing. No. And when the price of the item wasn't bad, the shipping charge was ridiculous. It's the principle of the thing with me. Okay, well, I'm kind of glad we have these leaf spring bushings in, because our leaf springs have arrived. Yes, they have, both sets. I am so proud of these things. They've been painted and ready to go and wrapped up so they wouldn't get too wet or get a lot of moisture in there to protect them. I just thought that was great. Check this out. This was the thing first and foremost that I wanted right there. Now, I'm not talking about the plastic or the sticker. I'm talking about the entire set of springs were made in America. They were manufactured in America by American workers using American steel. And, well, of course, along with that comes an American price tag. That's okay. I don't mind. Had I bought Chinese-made springs, they would have lasted maybe 2 years and have been flat. You know, I didn't want that. I wanted these babies to be strong. These things were manufactured by Eaton Spring Company up in Detroit. Eaton has blueprints on leaf springs for 24,000 different vehicles. And, you know, they can make them, they can set your car higher if you want it 1 inch or 2 inches, 3 inches, depending on the car. Or you can get stock height. That's what I got, was the stock height. I didn't want this car. This is not our hot rod. This is a 66 Thunderbird, you know. Anyway, I'm real happy to have those. They did a great job. The salesman up there, the salesman I dealt with was named William, and for years he worked on the floor making these things. So it was kind of nice to talk to a guy, so, you know, who answers the phone as a salesman, and you have any questions, he can answer them right there, because he made these things himself for years. You know, so many times you call a company and they say, "Can I help you?" And then you ask them a question and they go, "Oh, well, I just don't know. You know, I'll have to check." What do you mean? Aren't you the one that answered the phone and said, "Can I help you?" I don't know. You know, some of these companies, they put these people in there, they don't know anything about anything. But William knew everything. He made them. He knew, right? He made them from scratch, and that's what these were made from. The steel was cut and bent, heated. They hit them with ball peen. I'll tell you what. You just go to the Eaton Spring Company website, and there's a video there that shows you how they make these things. They walk you through it step by step. It's really cool watching them old blast furnaces, and they use the old equipment. The company's been in business since 1937. Its current owner is a guy named Mike, who's the grandson of the original company founders, and his grandparents founded it in 1937. So I just love having this set of springs made in America. Yes, sir. Now, My son helped me with the cost of these things. He gave me he knew I wanted some leaf springs. The agreement was, I'll buy one spring. If he buys one spring for Christmas, he asked me what I wanted. I said, you buy one spring, I'll buy the other. And then I'll pay the shipping for both. He said, okay, we can work that out. Well, no, it doesn't work that way with him. He gives me a prepaid credit card with a Thunderbird on it. Check that out. He had it specially made with a Thunderbird on it. And it was for $400, which covered almost the entire cost of both springs. So we saved a lot of money with him. Overly generous as usual. He shouldn't have done that, but he's one of these guys, every time I talk to him about something like this, he goes, oh, it was buy one, get one free. Yeah, okay, whatever. All right, let's do something I've been trying to do for quite a while, or I've been hoping to do for quite a while. I want to set one of the new springs on top of the old spring and see if there's a difference in arch. Let me get this thing unwrapped and get it in position. I'll tell you what, before we check the arch, let's see if these bushings are going to fit. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Outstanding. Let's try the other one. Okay, this is the smaller eye. Of course, this is the one that hooks to the shackle on the rear. Look at that. Does that look cool? Yes, that looks cool. Now, somebody's liable to chime in and say, well, you're not supposed to paint leaf springs. Yes, you can after they're fully assembled. You don't want to be painting between the leaves, okay? Matter of fact, I'll probably give this a good coat of gloss and black paint before I put them up. Let them dry for a couple of days because it's still cold, but I can't do it right now. It's just too cold. Temperatures aren't right. Okay, let's get them one on top of another. Well, they're pretty darn close to one another. It looks to me actually like, I don't know, it's hard to tell. It looks like the black ones might be a little flatter. But this doesn't mean much as far as the curve. I just wanted to see if the rusty ones down here had really flattened out in 52 years. But that still looks a whole lot better. I like those. They look really nice. Pretty close on the arch, actually. But which ones would you want on your Thunderbird? The last thing we're going to do on this video is check on our bracket and see how it looks. I took it out, I guess 2 days ago. Gave it a wire brushing, knocked off a lot of the loose rust. It was looking pretty good then. Let's see what it looks like now. Boy, I'll tell you what. Oh yeah, that's coming along really nice. A lot better. A lot better this time when I took it out than it was last time. I think what I'll do is give that thing another wire brushing. Down around in there is where most of that rust was. I picked up a couple of new bolts with some lock washers for it, by the way. I'll go ahead and dig all that rust out and let it set for a couple more days. It's too cold to be taking it out anyway. I'm just going to go ahead and let it, it's pretty wet outside. I don't want it to really rust up anymore. We'll just leave it in there. Anyway, remember now, next time we'll show you some parts that came in and where I got them, which is a kind of an interesting story. You're going to like it. And if all goes well and the temperature's right, maybe we can get both of those leaf springs back in the car. So until next time, I appreciate you being here one more time. Hope you enjoyed it. This is John. Well, how about a little strawberry ice cream on that nice warm blueberry pie? Ooh, it's beginning to melt a little bit already. Oh, God. Every time I do something like this, in my videos, we always get the ones that chime in, oh, this stuff's not good for you, cholesterol, you're going to die, and all this other crap. Well, I'll tell you what, guys, from where I'm standing, just looking at this makes me think I've already died and gone to heaven.